All right, guys, welcome. This is Dustin Bogle with another Gym Owner Spotlight, and I have my very special guest here, James Swift. So I'm excited because we're going to do a behind-the-scenes look and let him give his real, raw, honest opinion about his experience with gym reinforcements. And so that's what I asked him to jump on here to talk about. So James, let's get into it, brother. Where is your gym located and how long has it been in business now?
So we're located in Rancho Cordova, California, which is a suburb of Sacramento, California. And that's where most people would probably be able to put us on the map. We've been opened a little over 4 years. And so we'll be celebrating our 5th year in October of this year.
Well, hats off to you, man, because that means you were around and you survived through COVID, which was not an easy time for the fitness industry. Is there anything that you can share that you learned during that time, or like something you've done coming out of it to come back strong? Because I know, again, your location's going well. Any advice to fellow gym owners about that?
Yeah, I mean, gosh, there was a lot of lessons learned. Number one, I learned a ton about technology. I was not this whole Zoom thing that we're doing right now. If you were to ask me about 3 or 4 years ago, this wouldn't be happening. I'd still be trying to get onto this call. So, I learned a ton about Zoom, but we really learned about nurturing our clients, right? The building of the culture, which I think is extremely important. If you build the right culture, then it makes it a lot easier to retain clients when you're going through really difficult times. And so if you spend the time building the relationship and them understanding that you're not just here just to collect membership dues and just to perform fitness sessions, and really your goal is to help them to succeed in the best way that they possibly can through the good times and the bad times, then they stick with you through it, And so we actually had a pretty good retention rate through COVID. We had to do a lot of pivoting. So I guess I would say my best advice is that you have to go all in. You can't take your foot off the gas pedal because essentially that's what everybody else does. You get scared and it's easy to kind of climb into a corner. And so we had a plan. It wasn't perfect. We executed the plan. And areas that we were hitting some roadblocks, we would just pivot to what's next. So, I mean, in the beginning, we did YouTube. YouTube started getting shut down because of our music. And so then we went to Zoom and we did Zoom, but then not everybody could make our Zoom sessions. And so then we had to upload to Vimeo and had to figure out Vimeo. And, then we had to go to Train in Place. And I mean, there were just tons of pivots throughout. But if you have the right mentality and the desire to serve your community in any way that you possibly can, it's what gets you through the tough times.
Yeah. And the reason I bring it up, because again, we're now 3 years past when this whole craziness happened. But the lesson I want to pass on to everybody is that there's always the next catastrophe. Like we had 9/11, we had the 2008, crash, we had, COVID 2020. So they say, and when you kind of look at the history, it's about every 7 to 10 years, some sort of worldwide global issue comes up. Wars, pandemics, things like this, that, economic crashes, technology, like just cripples something. So what do you, again, to the gym owners watching this, what are you doing to prepare for 2027 and 2028 when the next one comes around? Because it's not a question of if, it's when.
If
and
it's
I
when.
think, like when you kind of look back at it, don't look at it as like, oh, thank God that'll never happen again. It's like, what did I learn? Because I need to have that sharpness for when the next one comes around. And so that's what the gift of is, the resilience going through that. Like now, if someone opened a gym today, they don't have to have that resilience until their first one comes around, but there's a gift. And then when the confidence that comes up when you live through multiple, like then you feel like throw anything you want at me, bro. Like I've seen it all.
Right.
Like, and then there's that salty, gritty gym owner, like, I could take on anything. So that's why I ask. It's not that we want to live those, past experiences. It wasn't fun, but it's like, ask people what they went through tough times so that you can learn that and you can be ready for the next one, because there will be one, right?
Yeah. It's all about the relationships. They say culture is king, right? I mean, you hear that over and over again whenever it comes to businesses in general. And I think it's even more important in, the fitness realm. They always say, like, people will quit a gym membership, but they won't quit a relationship. So if you can solidify relationships, people will find a way to pay for their gym membership because they want to continue to come in and they want to continue to be able to see you, because by canceling that membership, then that means that they don't get to see you anymore. And so you have to become that person where you're so valuable that all they want to do is just be able to come in and feed off of the energy that you're going to give to them. And that's going to see you through so much. And so that's been the big talk with our team over the last, year, has been all about building relationships, the old school, right? Getting the Fords, right? Their family, the occupation, their recreation dreams, like, know what those are. Spend the time to build those relationships, and, and they won't leave you.
Yes, I love that. So again, it's a good thing that is the magic dose for all the problems we're going to encounter in the future, regardless of what happens, is the relationships that we foster with our clients. So like double down on that, because it'll help you to weather any storm. So James, I want to dive into, like, we talked about the difficulties and the things you had to overcome. What's your business look like today? How are you guys winning? What is something you're proud of in your business right now?
Well, same thing. I'll go back to culture. That's been the big push. That was a challenge when we first started, was developing culture, or knowing what we wanted our culture to be like. And, in the beginning, when you're new to opening up a business, you're trying to get business any way that you can, and you put up with a lot of things that maybe you shouldn't put up with. And whether it's from members or whether it's from your team members, and developing what we want our team to look like, who we want on our team. And we talked a little bit offline. It's been difficult to hire, but it's been difficult to hire the right person, right? The person that fits our culture. And so, I can say that I'm extremely proud of the culture that we've built. Even, we'll say parting ways with some members that didn't fit our culture, and really trying to solidify what we want, making sure that our team understands our values and our mission, and making sure that we're walking in and we're exuding those things. So what I'm most proud of is having a strong team that is bought in on the mission, that's bought in on the culture, that's bought in on the values. Because I know when it's all said and done, regardless of what difficulties that we're going to come across, we're going to see it through, because the mission is still the mission.
Great victory for your business. And I think, when you have those winners on your team, those people who are really bought in, it almost like takes a weight off your shoulders to know, man, I don't got to carry the whole load. Like, you're taking 10% and you're taking 15%. And it's like, I had 100% on my back, and it's like this immense relief. And then trust is built, and you can kind of release things to all-star players. And then you can stop being a business operator and being a business owner, and start looking at the numbers and the strategy and future thinking, because you can't, when you're too much involved in the day-to-day, because you're task switching, right? I got to get this task done, I got to do that task. So I really commend you for accomplishing that, James, because it's not easy and it takes time. And again, guys, I want to remind you, about to hit 5 years. So this is not like first year and I'm bragging about all the things. Like, this takes time.
First year was a mess.
So now we start working together in regards to your lead follow-up. So let's kind of, do a past experience look. Like, who was doing the lead follow-up? How did it look? And just kind of share what that looked like.
Yeah, I mean, gosh, we had so many iterations. It began with when we had an admin, and we hired an admin to do lead follow-up, and that was challenging. And I changed it over to a coach, and tried to compensate a coach and say, okay, hey, for every lead that you come in and you bring in, I'll, pay you X dollars if they just start a free trial, and, call off of the prospect list. And for whatever reason, the motivation was there. And I'll say, I have to take some of that too. We're spread pretty thin, and I didn't have the time to be able to train them to make a phone call, to, how do you respond to a text message? And we tried so many different ways. Our headquarters at Fit Body Bootcamp, they're fantastic, and they would put together amazing text scripts and everything that we really needed. But we just found that the person that was doing the lead follow-up, for one reason or another, just was not bought into that particular idea, or didn't have the time to do it or the capacity to do it. It really became challenging. And for me to try to do lead follow-up and with everything else that's included in my task list of being an owner, it just wasn't getting done. Leads were falling through the cracks. They were stacking up. We would go 2-3 months and nobody's following up on leads. If people weren't proactively reaching out to us or signing up for a promotion, and they just weren't getting a phone call, they weren't getting a text message. It just wasn't happening. And so it was, I'll say, prior to us working with Gym Reinforcements, it was abysmal. And that may have been, that might be me being put it lightly. It was pretty rough. So yeah, it definitely, we needed help.
Yeah. And hey, this is a good reminder. And thank you for being vulnerable and, like transparent. Everything is not good when you open a gym. Like, you don't know how to do marketing, and you don't know how to do P&Ls and like track your expenses, and like, you don't know nothing, because for most of us, we came into this industry as a trainer and that's all we knew. And so all the business stuff you learn through the school of hard knocks. And, again, it takes time. And I know most of us want to see it quick because we see on social media how to make $1 million in 90 days and, all these crazy, claims. And it's just a matter of reps. And then, the things you're good at, you keep owning, and you can probably do a good job of training somebody on. And then the things you're not, it's okay to raise your hand and ask for help, and to get someone else that is, like, there's that delegate and elevate exercise where it's like, you love to do, you like to do, you dislike, and then you hate. And so anything in those bottom 2 boxes, there is somebody, as weird as it sounds, that those things are their top 2 boxes. Like, your dislike and hate is their love and like. And so it's a good exercise to do quarterly, to put, what you're doing in those 4 quadrants, and then eliminate and, delegate and elevate. I'm going to delegate these bottom 2 boxes and put it and elevate it to somebody's top 2. And so that's what I call gym owners saying, is like, hey, we're in the love and like with lead follow-up and sales. And, that's what we like to do. So like, give that to us, what we love to do. And so if that's in your bottom 2, it's our top 2. And so if that's what you're looking for, we're a good fit. And so, James, you don't have to like share numbers and all that, but just like, I guess, just general experiences. What have you seen since starting with Gym Reinforcements?
Oh man. I mean, in the last 2 months that we've been working with Gym Reinforcements, Alex, our member coordinator with Gym Reinforcements, he's almost made it through. We've got a list of 2,000 prospects, leads, maybe a little bit more. He's reached out to a good number of them, and we've added 22 members each month for the last 2 months. We haven't seen numbers like that since we first opened. I mean, to be 100%, like, once we started kind of getting up and running, it was, gosh, if we got 10, like, that was a record breaking month, because we would just, we just didn't have time to do all the lead follow up. And so we would only get the people that would literally go in and pay the money, but the people that wanted to come in for a free week, they never heard from anybody. Alex has just been absolutely on top of it. And that's not even taking into consideration all the admin duties that he's taken off of our plate. We're talking just sales, lead follow-up. I mean, it's been absolutely tremendous. I think he's doubled, tripled our investment every month for the last 2 months. And it doesn't even look like it's going to stop.
Nice. All right. Well, hey, thank you for sharing that, man. That really, fills up my cup, because that's why I started Gym Reinforcements, is because I found these are 2 things owners did not like to do, but they're things that I always felt really skilled at training people to do. And so it makes me very happy to hear that you're getting those results. and we're going to continue to exceed. We're rolling out more and more upgrades to make it even better. So watch out. There's even more coming.
I'm looking forward to
it. Now, what would you say to a gym owner who's on the fence? Because we've had many calls with people who are like, it sounds amazing, but I'm worried. And, what if? And, it's the same thing a fitness client comes to, like, what if it doesn't work? And what if, I don't come in and, like, we got to talk them off the ledge. How would you kind of like talk to a fellow gym owner who's considering GR?
Well, so I think there's a few prongs. So the first prong I would say is, when you were speaking to the delegate and elevate piece, I'm very much a control freak. And so I like having control of my business. It's my baby, right? Like I've spent 4 years building and trying to meticulously grow our location. And I always feared delegation for a number of reasons, even to my own wife, she came on last year full time to work in our studio. And what I have found is similar to exactly what you said, Dustin. There are certain things that she's great at that I'm not. She's the yin to my yang. So, and if you know bird profiles, I'm the parrot dove and she's an owl and an eagle. And so that's her. And so there are certain things that people are better at than you are. I love the lead follow-up. I just didn't have the time to do it. I love getting on the phone and I'll talk to someone till, their ear falls off, as you can tell. But, I just didn't have the time to do it, but I also didn't have the time to do the training, which was the biggest concern. So the analogy that I'll use is, there was a lot. There was a time when we would take our coaches to training, or we still take our coaches to training. But in the beginning, when money was really tight, the question is, well, do we take them to training? And I remember one of my great mentors, Matt Wilbur, Matt, he would say, what happens if I train my clients or train my coaches and then they leave me? And then he would always tell me, well, what happens if you don't train them at all? Right. And so for me, whenever I look at something like gym reinforcement, it's like, well, yeah, you can sit on the fence, but what happens if you don't hire someone to follow up on your leads? What are you getting out of that, right? What's the risk in investing to see what happens on the other end if you're willing to invest that money to having someone to follow up on your leads on a consistent basis, to turn over those leads into sales? Like, what's the worst that could happen? In my opinion, what I got to a point of doing was saying, well, gosh, I feel like I'm losing more money than I'm investing into gym reinforcements because I'm not following up on the leads, and nobody is. And so how much money is that out the window when all those leads are kind of falling through the cracks? And for Liz and myself, my wife is Liz, we decided to book a call with Dustin. Obviously, Dustin, I've known you for a really long time, and I trust you 100% because, you were one of my first trainers when, I opened Fit Body Bootcamp, and I know your demeanor and I know where your heart is. And so, I said, well, gosh, I got to take a chance and see what they can do for us. And one beautiful thing about gym reinforcement is that there's no long-term contracts, right? It's you pay as you go. And that's the way that we run our business at our location. I always say, like, we have the obligation to continue to earn our clients' business. And so locking them into a long-term contract doesn't do anything other than scare them away. But if we say, hey, you know what, we're going to continue to work to earn your business, and whatever feedback that you guys have, then we'll take it and we'll turn that around. That's what I felt with you, Dustin, is that I could give you feedback, or I could give your team feedback. Yes. They would take it, they would work on it, and they would improve upon it. And that's the thing that I've gotten with my team, that I've gotten through gym reinforcements, is, we give them feedback every single week, and they take it and they improve the service that they're providing our clients and providing to us. That's all we can really ask for. So to other gym owners, if you guys aren't following up on your leads, that's money that's going out the window. It's falling through the cracks. You got to have someone follow up on those leads, because if you don't follow up on them, you're not just doing yourself a disservice, but you're doing your clients a disservice. Those people out there need your help, and they need someone to drive them in the doors. And if you don't have the capability of doing it, someone's got to do it for you.
Yeah, I love it, man. Well, thank you. This is all good stuff for everyone to hear, because yes, with anything, there's a risk, but like you said, there's the risk of the investment, but then there's the risk of not investing and losing out on sales and losing potential leads to a competitor because they had better follow-up game. And I think one of the things that I've found is I'm a big believer of lead from the front. And so if you are from a fitness or training background, it's very easy for you to lead from the front when you hire a coach and just say, do what I do. But for, you're an exception because you like lead follow-up. Most gym owners and fitness people don't. They despise sales and following up and being on the phones. That's why they chose a path in fitness and being on the floor in relationships. So the question I was posed to them, if you're not good at it, you can't lead from the front. How will you train someone else to do it? And so you're probably going to get a follow-up person that's like subpar okay, rather than me and my team. We love lead follow-up. It's always one of my favorite parts. So how much energy and excitement do you think I bring to the team I train? Like that's going to be the next level. And that's the same thing you want to look for when you hire your team. Like you want a coach that loves coaching, so it translates to your clients. Like everybody on your team should be enthused. Whoever runs your ads, they should love marketing, be obsessed with it. Like if everybody in your company, it loves their job, that's in their top two, the client experience and your experience as a business owner will be far different than people said yes to the paycheck. And it's kind of in there. I like to do it. I kind of like to do it. It's just for the paycheck. People feel that when you're engaging with them. And so people feel like, they didn't have the best customer service. It's because someone said yes to the job that didn't love it. That's why you get the person at Starbucks that's kind of like standoffish. They should have never even took that job, right? So it's your job, and this kind of circles back to what you said earlier. Your job is to screen for the love factor. Like, does this person love it? Are they dynamic? Do you want to be around them in every area, from coaches to follow up to the marketer to heck, my freaking CPA? They like, do you love numbers? Like, I want you to wake up and love numbers. Like everyone's got to love what they do. And that way you have a positive, culture and you bring the best, So James, thank you. This has been awesome, man. I'll let you get out of here. This has been great having you share your experience with, the viewers. And guys, go see what James is doing, because his business is taking off to new levels. And so I'm excited for him. Thank you, sir, for sharing your experience.
Absolutely, Dustin. Thanks for having me on, man. And more importantly, thanks for providing gym reinforcements. It's really changed the way that we've done business. So truly, truly appreciate you.
Thank you, sir.